Hi guys, this is Adrienne West and I wanted to share with you a fun card I made using the Painted Harvest stamp set. I know we've used this before in my home classes, but I wanted to give it another try on videos so some of you who haven't been to my class could see how this pretty set works. So here is my card front that I've designed. This way. It's a little bit hard to tell in the video, but I have green in the middle and kind of yellows towards the outside. I wanted to show you quickly before we get started what I do in picking the base card color. So I've got a piece of soft suede, card front actually here, that I wanted to show you. So that's pretty. This is the one that I actually am going to pick, but I want to show you a couple of more just to give you an idea of my creative process. I have Crumb Cake also, which just kind of makes it a lighter color. I'm not sure I love that one. And I have Lemon Lime Twist here. And I don't know, it kind of washes out the colors. It's not as fall as I want it to be. And then I've got an Old Olive base as well, which I feel like this could be a winner, but I think I like the soft suede, which is my original here. So in the end, I'll be adhering this one. So I don't know if you can see a little bit better the colors, but we are going to do some watercolor pencil on the watercolor paper to get our background. We're going to do this frame with our stitched framelits and the layered square framelits, and we're going to punch out this double layer sunflower and then just do a quick little banner. And then these little embellishments are actually the flat back pearls that I've colored with my blends, Stampin' Blends. Just a piece of watercolor paper, and I have my watercolor pencils in order here. I'm just going to lay down some crushed curry just on this end and a little bit on this end. Just kind of laying down just a rough amount of color. And then this is the Daffodil Yellow, Daffodil Delight. A little bit here, a little bit here. And you can make this as heavy or as light as you want. And then this one is the Old Olive. Maybe you want it to be pretty light. You can always add more color later. And this one's Granny Apple Green. So that's one of our newer colors. And just in the very middle, I'm going to do this really dark garden green color right here. Okay, so we've got our colors down, and then I'm going to take my aqua painter that's just got some water in it, and I've got a spare paper towel here. And what I like to do, and I've seen other demonstrators do this, is you just kind of feel on your hand when the water's starting to come out. And then you know that it's a good time to start laying down your water. So you can see, I'm actually going to my plan is to kind of run these colors together to get a real pretty watercolor background. And you can see that sometimes with the darker colors you need to add a little bit more water or maybe spend a little bit more time blending the colors in. And I'm actually squeezing as I go to get a little bit more water and kind of doing up and down and a little bit of swirl to get the colors to kind of run. And then just before I get into the yellow, I'm actually going to wipe off the tip of my brush because I don't want the green to run into the yellow completely because it'll get weird, and I don't want that. I want it to be really pretty bright. So I cleaned my brush and I'm going to come this way just till they meet and just let them kind of go naturally into one another. without dragging it in there. And then I'll spend some time looking for any areas that I want to add a little bit more water, cleaning my brush as I go. And this green in the middle, I'm not that worried because see how kind of streaky it is from my pencil marks? That green is actually going to kind of disappear underneath here. You can't really even see it under the flower, so that's not such a big deal. So we're going to set this aside to dry. If you wanted to speed up your process, you could actually use your heat tool and kind of let this dry or work this a little bit faster and dry it instead of waiting for it to dry, but we're going to just put it aside and let it have some time to dry on its own. So put that aside. The Stampin' Mat, the foam mat, because the stamps we're using with the Painted Harvest are actually the photopolymer, and you always want something soft underneath them. So the larger image, which is actually this image here, we're going to stamp in Daffodil Delight, and this is going to be the crushed curry that's going to overlay to make the sunflower. See that? Give it a minute and pull up. And don't worry that it's kind of splotchy, that's the design. So it's not wrong or bad, it's just the way it is. That's normal. And then I'm just kind of seeing where that inner circle is. And lift. And then we're going to also do our little inside, and this is in soft suede ink. And I'm just going to see where that fits the best. Perfect. Okay, and then from here, I actually just take my paper snips, and the first thing I do is I just go in a circle. And I'm just going to kind of hit the edges of the longest petals, because I'm going to spend some time just trimming these out by hand. There's no die or punch. You could use the Starburst punch, cheater method anyway. It's this one here. That's what it looks like. So you could use this, but this square, this little frame, and I did that using the stitched framelits, this one, and then I did one of the layering squares. It's another die set. Gives me just enough of a thickness of the frame so that it layers nicely on the card. The pearls, here's the pearls. You can see some I did in the soft suede color because I really wasn't sure if I wanted them olive or suede. So you just take your marker and you take the brush end, this end, and you're just gonna color. And you're gonna wanna go over it maybe a couple of times. You might even let it dry and then do a second layer to make sure it's really nice and dark. Here and here. So you can see, isn't that nice? So you can basically do, if you have some blends, you can make the flat backed pearls any color you need, which is really handy. The greeting is also in the Painted Harvest, and we're going to use this right here, Gather Together and Give Thanks. They have some really pretty ones in here that I like. These are all two-step stamps, meaning that you do one of them darker and one lighter. You could also just do this, and this actually has a coordinating punch. The greeting I just stamped on a really kind of skinny piece of Whisper White, and then I punched it using the banner punch. This one here, I know you guys, if you've been to my class, you've seen the banner punch. You can punch a lot of different sizes. This is kind of a measuring system here, but when I don't have something wide enough or that'll fit in here, I actually just turn it over, and then I put this in where I can see the words. Can you see that? And then I'll just pull back a little and then just center, kind of eyeball the center and punch. And that gives me a really nice banner edge. And then I would just flip it around and do the other side. card. Let's see how we're looking. Pretty dry here. A little bit wet, but I might just mop that up with a paper towel here and here. I kind of like this. I don't know how well you guys can see this, but can you see how it blends and it kind of looks splotchy? I actually really like that. Okay, so I've got this guy all trimmed out. Isn't that pretty? And we're going to take some adhesive here. And we'll just put some fast fuse on the back. I like using fast fuse on watercolor paper because usually when you've done something on watercolor paper, it's really kind of made the paper kind of wavy and stuff, and I find that something similar to the fast fuse, even though we don't sell it anymore, something really strong is better. So not just your typical tape runner. I would use maybe the Tombow green and white glue and then just kind of lay something on top of here so it stays really flat and really stuck. That's this glue here, the Tombow Multi. Mine's super used, so it looks all gunky, but it works really, really well in cases like this. Okay, so we've got this down, and we're actually going to use that Tombow glue for our little frame, which right here. So we'll just put a little bit here. I love that this stuff has two ends. So you can see this end right here is quite a bit larger than this fine tip, so it's great for larger projects. If you're going to put paper on the back of your envelopes and dress up an envelope, it's just great. It's great to have the two options in size. So there's my glue, and we're going to just pop the lid back on so we don't make a mess. And I like to kind of get it a little off kilter here. There we go. Give that a minute. And then we're going to add some dimensionals to the back of our sunflower. And I actually like to, I don't know how well you can see that, but I like to trim mine in half or use the mini dimensionals that Stampin' Up! Now carries. Those are great. Anyway, just a little side tip. Another fun tip I saw someone do was to use this paper piercing tool and just kind of poke out the back of the dimensionals and just pop them off. And I love this. For so many years I tried to get it off, you know, using my fingernails, which I don't usually have much of, and it just always was kind of cumbersome, but I love to just pick these things off. They're so much easier that way. Alright, so here's our sunflower. I'm just gonna kind of, my least favorite piece is this little kind of extra long piece. So I'm going to tuck that so that it's going to be covered by my little banner. So banner, I'm actually going to punch the other side as well. So let's get that guy in here. And remember, we're sticking it through so we can see the wording. There's my wording. And we're just going to pull back enough to center it and punch it. That looks good. Okay. So now our banner looks like this, and I actually kind of gave it a little kind of shape to it, and then when I was ready to glue it down, it'd be awesome if you could just glue it down and somehow it would stay wavy like this, but that's not very realistic if you were going to ship this card or put it in an envelope. So what I'm going to do is actually just layer a couple of dimensionals on top of each other and keep that on where the, so I've got two dimensionals there stacked up, and we're just going to lay that in the high part and then add some glue dots on the ends. So right in here I'm going to put that so that when it goes on the card there'll be a little bit of thickness there, and then I'll attach glue dots probably here and down here so that I will have some shape when I add it to my card. So here's my glue dots, and I also love to just grab those with the piercer. Then where'd our little pearls? Okay, so let's see. Maybe we'll do brown pearls this time. I know we colored the green ones, but let's do the brown ones. So I'm going to lift again with a paper piercer, and we'll just add some color in here. I usually like to do, as a rule, like 3, but feel free to do however you like. Add that little bit of something that's missing from a card. So here's our card. Now, something I didn't show you that I'll probably do in a future video is I did use a little bit of this Vegas Gold all-purpose ink. It's actually a paint, and it's new in the holiday catalog. I don't know how well you can see it on my original card front. Right there, I kind of just did some splatters, and it adds a little bit of fun interest. In fact, you could even add some more gold somewhere else, like maybe you wanted to do a leaf stamp and add some gold. I might even try that and show some more samples, but anyway, it takes a little bit to dry, but I just picked some up. I really just unscrewed the cap, and I used my aqua painter, and I just actually went in here and just grabbed some, and then when I had it on my brush, I just like flicked the end. Now keep in mind, you may want to put a mask over like the primary part and not get glue or glitter paint everywhere, and I just kind of flicked the brush with the gold paint, and it just made these pretty little gold splatters in here. Anyhow, that's that. So here's the card. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, I like it. Okay, thanks for watching. You can find me on Facebook at Stampin' Lady West or on Instagram at Stampin' Adrienne West. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.